shall we? Right, now you can see here there's quite a pile of goodies here. Now, not all of them are going to be in stock, but what I'm trying to show you with the cards that I've made today is that it doesn't really matter what you use. You could use anything that you've got in your Lisa Horton Crafts stash and you will achieve similar projects. So I might be using these. I haven't decided yet. I think I am, but I'll decide in a little while. Depends how far we get, because there are several cards here. I just wanted to show you really how easy it is. Like I say, I think we all get a little bit hung up on making cards for men, and I think we tend to go for, well, do they like gardening? Let's use a wheelbarrow. Do they like painting and decorating? Let's use a paintbrush or whatever. Or do they like motorbikes? Let's use a motorbike, or golf or sport or whatever. And I think sometimes we try too hard. So I wanted to basically show you that you can make cards for men. In my opinion, everything I've made would be suitable for a man, but you know, you might think differently. Not everybody's idea of male cards is somebody else's idea of male cards, but we'll do what we've got, and then you can make a decision. I'm using the parquet flooring. I'm not using the crackle today because I think I did the crackle to death the other week, so I'm not using that one today. So I'm using the parquet flooring. I'm using the gears. I love this. I think this is ace. I'm using the pipework. A little bit daunted by this one, but I've used it, so you decide. I've used the mechanical rivets, and again, it sort of scares me a little bit, but again, I've used it, so we can see what you think in a second. I've also used the tracks. I've also used the Harlequin. I'm quite pleased with this one, and you'll see why. I've also used the concentric square, so you can see there's a really good mix of things that I've used today on these cards. I've used the bold phrases. I've used the banner sentiments stamp and die set. I'm also using the essential words, which again was a really early die set. You can see number 26, so that was really early. The rectangles, the torn edge circles, the large ferns, and the triangles. Okay, so you can see there are an awful lot of die sets there. You should have seen my desk about 3/4 of an hour ago. I couldn't really see my desk, so it was a bit of a mess. Okay, so that's everything that I'm using. So let's do the first card. Oh, I'm using the nested flags as well. Okay, so let's go with the first one. Now you can see here that I've cut the tracks embossing folder and I've split it. Okay, I've cut it into the 3 strips that it comes in. If I show you, so it comes like that, and I've cut it right down the middle, and I'm using 2 opposites. So I'm using these 2, and I've just cut them down and I've stuck them to my card. Okay, I was going to use 3, but for the size of the card that I've used, I think 3 looked too much, so I've just gone with the 2. So we'll put that down. Then I've used the second largest and third largest nested flag. Now, if you've been watching me for a while, you may remember this piece. Yeah, this was the nested layering stripes stencils, and I went through them with you on a live, and I've sort of put the piece to one side, but I did say I would use it. I'm using it today. So I've backed that onto a darker piece, navy blue, and just stuck them both together. And then these are so easy, these cards. There really isn't much to any of them. And I'm literally just sticking them down onto these 2 pieces of the tracks embossing folder. And then I shall just add a sentiment and one other thing. I mean, I haven't gone overboard with any sort of embellishments or anything like that, because I don't think blokes like fussy, do they? I suppose some do, everybody's different, aren't they? Okay, so that's the basis of my card. And then you saw me say I was using the large ferns. So all I'm going to do is just add my large fern down here. Just to give it a little bit of interest. It isn't florally, it isn't, you know, it's not flowers or anything. But I just wanted to use something a little bit different rather than just leave it plain. So I thought I used the large ferns because I think they're quite a masculine die set. You know, ferns are they're a butch plant, aren't they? They're sort of quite robust and strong, and so I thought it was perfect for a male card. So I'm just going to pop that down to one side of the flag, like that, and then add my sentiment. Now I could have cut these again in a darker card and done a drop shadow on them, but I didn't. I don't think you actually need to. It's entirely up to you, personal choice again, and I think that applies to most of your card making. You know, you could sit and watch me do these and change them up a little bit, just to make them look a little bit different and make them your own, if you like. That's the idea behind these lives, is just to give you the idea and then you go off and do your version of it. So there we go, that's card number 1. I think that's quite masculine. I think that's perfect for a bloke. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't give it to a bloke. Okay, so that's card number 1. So card number 2 is even more simple, because I've used a black card. Got glue on the back of that, but never mind. So I'm just using a black card base. It's smaller than 5x7, I think. I don't think it's 5x7, no. 4x6? 4x6. So you can tell that's quite a small card. Perfect for sort of USA posting, I would imagine. And I've cut, again, 2 nested flags. But what I did with this one was I cut my flag. Well, actually I didn't. I did the embossing first and then cut the flag. Not that it's crushed the embossing at all. It hasn't really. And I've brushed 3 different of the metallic inks on here. And I just like the effect that it's left me with, and I just think it's a little bit different. So, you know, if you're looking to do backgrounds or just give yourself something that looks a little bit different, then just have a mess around with your inks. You can do it on white card or black card, doesn't really matter. So I'm just popping that down there. As I said, so simple, so easy. These are the quickest cards you will ever make, trust me. And they're so easy. Okay. So, dead simple, dead easy. I might 3D that one actually, just so that it looks a little bit different and lifts the card a little bit. And I've just stamped my sentiment with Lisa's white ink pad on these, just because I wanted to use sort of black banners, and I thought, well, what can I stamp with? Well, I know, Lisa's white ink pad, and it's perfect. Okay, so down at the bottom, up at the top, down at the bottom. And I'm not going to go and add any gems or anything because it's for a bloke, and I don't think you necessarily can't put bling on a man's card, but I don't think it needs it personally, because you've got all that sort of metallic effect in the background, and I don't want anything to detract from that embossing folder really, because I think it's just a really cool folder. So that's number 2. What time are we on? Okay, so now we're on to number 3. Told you these were quick, didn't I? Let's put that up there a little bit. Running out of space. Okay, number 3. I think this is 6 by 6. 5.5 by 5.5. Do you know, I don't think I've ever found 6 by 6, 7 by 7 and 8 by 8 that actually measure what they say on the packet. But you know, hey ho. So here I'm using the torn edge circles. Again, I've used the concentric squares embossing folder, and I've also used one of the nested triangles, and you can see here that I have embossed that with the parquet flooring embossing folder, just because I wanted to give it some interest. I'm not sure, Suzanne, I haven't tried it. I'll try it this afternoon and let you know, but I've not tried it yet, so I can't answer your question, I'm afraid. Okay, so I'm just going to find my lining up on my circles, just so that it's lined up properly, and then I'm going to glue. I'm not gluing that down first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hide half the triangle in between those 2 circles like that, but I don't want the background to be totally stark white. So what I thought I would do is just add a few little splats or whatever. Yeah, I think I will go for the splats in a purple, because obviously I've used purple satin card. I'm going 2nd generation, so I'm stamping most of the ink off first and just adding a little bit of interest in the background. Oops, that'll do. It isn't much, but I just want to take that sort of stark whiteness away, really. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this down to my base card. Okay, so I'm going to put this one, just want to make sure I've got it lined up properly. So I want to move it to one side, and then I'm going to add this one down. And really it's just about giving it a little bit of interest to the eye. It's not necessarily a, oh, I know a chap that likes circles and torn edge circles and triangles. It isn't that at all. It's just something, I suppose, a little bit more modern. Just to bring it up to date, really. So I don't want to turn this because I know I've got it right. So just add my glue and then pop this down on here. So I've got my triangle, I've got my circles, but I've just done it a little bit different. And you can see here, this is quite raised in the middle. I quite like that. I think that's it just gives the card a different look, because it's not totally flat, but it's just enough. So I've added that down there, and then all I'm going to do is add my sentiment, and I might 3D that as well, just because I can, really. So you see, it's not sort of a themed card, you know, it's not sport or whatever. It's just something a little bit different that to me looks a little bit more masculine than sort of florals all the time. I know there are men out there that do like flowers, so you know, there's no reason why you wouldn't use flowers. I'll just pop that on there like that. Okay, card number 3. But I think, well, I hope you'll agree that they all look as though they could be given to a man. I mean, equally you could give them to a woman, but primarily my aim today was to sort of say, this is how easy it is to make men's cards. So please don't be put off by the fact that somebody says, oh, can you make a card for Fred down the road? It doesn't have to be difficult. So next one, again 6 by 6 ish, and again I've used the triangles. So I've cut one in mirror card. It's not it's Lisa's holographic card, and one in green. And again, I've done the parquet flooring embossing on this one. I just think it looks cool on the triangles. I think it looks really neat. So this one's going down here. Again, I'm using the large ferns, and I'm just putting that to one side, so off the triangle really, but sort of still attached. Then I've got my sentiment. I'm going to move it over slightly because I'm coming the other side, because I've used one fern going one way and this is the fern going the other way. And then I've used again those essential words, but this is one line that with love comes in one piece. So all I've done is just snipped it in the middle and made it into two, just so that it gives me a little bit more manoeuvrability with it, and I don't have to worry about it fitting in. Right, let's add this down. Now, do I want any textures in the background or not? I don't think I do on this one. I don't think I do. Because you don't have to. It's just how the mood takes you, you know. So I'll put that one down there first, making sure it's straight, preferably. And then I can add my parquet flooring. 8 men's cards to make. Well, we've done 4, Tony, so I've only got another 4 to go to finish cards for you. Okay, so I'll pop that in the middle, like so. I mean, how easy are these? They are just so easy. So I'm going to put my fern to one side, just because it moves the interest all the way across the card, so it's not all based in the middle. Do you get what I mean? And then I think I will 3D the sentiment, but I think what I will do is start the sentiment a little bit further down and then overlap it a little bit, I think, just so it looks a little bit different. So let's pop the 3D glue on here. Don't need a huge amount, I just want to make sure it's all level, to be honest. So I'm going to put that over there. And then coming down with the love, I'm going to overlap that onto the side of the triangle. Okay, so number 4. And I still say I haven't done anything yet that you couldn't give to a man. Okay, so next one. Now this one's like sort of really a bit more grungy. And this was the rivets, the mechanical rivets. This is grey card, and all I've done is just added wax to this. And the way I've added the wax, I'm going to show you, because I'm going to do it on here just to show you how I've done it, because I've got another card that's of a similar sort of effect. I'm going to use my block, my acrylic block, just because I don't want to get my mat. I don't want to get my messy mat messy. Does that sound really silly? It does, doesn't it, really? But you know, I don't. It's a messy mat, but doesn't mean I want it to look messy. With my acrylic block, I'm using my waxes. I'm putting a very small amount, it's probably too much, onto my acrylic block. I'm using 3-4 colours. So this one's bronze, and this was sort of a happy accident. I went to clean my acrylic block and I was just using this, my baby wipe, just to get my acrylic block clean, and then thought, wonder what would happen if I just put it on black card. And this was literally all I did, and it was just, I just thought it was so effective that I've used it 2 or 3 times now, and I really like it. So Just get that off there. See, I told you I'd used a little bit too much. Then I'm going to use gold, so I'm not going to put as much. Do exactly the same with the gold. Goes there, you're going to clean it up. So spread it around so you haven't got a big blob on your baby wipe. And then go in again onto your black card. Filling in your gaps, going over the bronze if you want to. You don't have to go over it all. And I'm gonna try and get all 4 colours out of one baby wipe, which is a bit ambitious, but so this one's copper. I love this colour. And it's such fun. So again, now obviously you have to bear in mind that as your baby wipe is drying out, you're not going to have as much moisture to pick this up and clean it off. So you've got to work sort of reasonably quickly. And then just to finish it off, I'm just going to go in with silver and just add some silver over the top. But did I say it was fun? Did I say it was easy? You can't get a much easier background, can you? I know a lot of people sort of bought the waxes when they came out and then got a little bit intimidated by them. So I thought, well, this was a way of being able to use them but not having to worry about being too precise. So you could do this on your card and then use your embossing folder and emboss it, and I'm sure you'd get a completely different look to what I wanted to achieve today. So here's my card base. Now I'm probably going to waste most of this, but I'm not particularly worried because it was only a scrap piece of black card. Now obviously this is going to be a little bit damp. It does dry quickly, but it is going to be a little bit damp, so don't worry too much about it. But it will dry perfectly quickly, because they are quite fast drying waxes anyway. So by using the baby wipe, you're actually giving it a little bit of extra life, because you're just extending the life of the wax before it dries out completely. So pop that down there, and then my riveted piece is going on the top. Now I've gone around the edge of this with a gold ink pad, just so that you can see the edge. It sort of stands out against that background. I could have probably cut that down so that I didn't waste it, but it's a piece of black card at the end of the day. I'm not that precious. Okay, now as I said, I did a similar effect on the grey card with the rivets after I'd embossed it, and then I thought, am I going to make the rivets stand out? Because I don't want them to sort of just blend into the background. I want them to be really obvious. So I used a black Sharpie pen and just went over the top of them, and I think it works. So then I've got my sentiment, and again I'm going to 3D the sentiment just to lift the card a little bit. Put the sentiment wherever you like, doesn't really matter. I quite like it in the middle. I think it sits nice in the middle, so that's where it's going. So you see there's lots of ideas, quick and easy ideas for men's cards without being specific, you know, like sport or whatever. Okay, so that's that one. Now then, this was the one that I was a bit intimidated by. This one, I've got to be honest. I love the folder. I think it's a brilliant idea, but I was just a little bit intimidated by it. So it is going to sit quite simply on its own with just a little bit of splat in the background, I think, possibly. Or shall I? No, I don't think I will, actually. I think I'll leave it. And all I'm going to do is just add my sentiment top and bottom. Now you'll see, I don't know whether you can tell, that I ran this through on this sort of, this is Lisa's satin card, and it's the brownie coloured one, which is really, really lovely. And then I brushed over it with Stamperia wax. Now I've had to use Stamperia because Lisa doesn't have a green, but I just wanted sort of like, you know, that green rusty effect that you get on pipework. That was the effect I was sort of after. I could probably have gone a little bit heavier, if I'm honest, because it doesn't really show up. It does in front of me, but on camera it doesn't really show up very much. So I could have been a little bit heavier handed with that, I think. But this is quite simply, all it's going to do is just sit on the card on its own. No worries, Pam. I appreciate not everybody can stay to the end. And we are running over a little bit, but I've only got 2 others to do and they're more or less finished. Okay. So, I'm going to add that down to the middle of my card. Oops. And it is, that is literally all it's going to be. And then I'm going to 3D my sentiment on the card. Okay. I don't think it needs much else. If you wanted to do a little bit of stamping in the background just to take away that stark whiteness, you could do. But I'm not going to on this occasion. So I will add the sentiment as a 3D in a second. But then I've got this one, which I love. Now you can see here I've done the same effect with the waxes, and I just think it gives a fantastic background. I just love it. I think it's a fabulous idea. So then I've used the cogs, I've run it through my embossing folder through the machine, and then I've dry brushed it with the gold wax. So I've put my wax onto my acrylic block, wet it ever so slightly, just used a dry brush and put my brush into the sort of watered down wax, taken most of it off and then gone over the folder. And I've just repeated that until I'm happy with the depth of colour that I've got on this folder. And I think that is really, really effective. So if I quickly add this down, and then we can just go to the last one, which is a sort of a, what's the word I'm looking for? I saw a card in the group and I thought, that's brilliant. And the person that did it was Natalia. I mean, Natalia makes brilliant cards anyway, all of the time. But when I saw this particular one, I thought, I've got to have a go at that. I've got to prove to myself that I can do it. So I did. And that would be my last one. But there is no sentiment for it because I only finished it at about 5 to 1. So there's my, and I'm putting it at an angle just because I think it looks a little bit different if you put it at an angle. And then I'm going to use one of my banner sentiments. Now you can see that I've cut them in black and gold to match my black and gold. I'm just going to stick that on top like that so that it sort of look like 2 little flags. So that will stick to there, and then that will be probably 3D'd, I think, across the middle like that. Or I don't know, probably across the middle. But I love that. That is my favourite. Of all of these, that is my favourite. But then, as I say, I saw this card and I thought, Natalia, you're a genius, it's brilliant. So I've got my card face. Then I did my panel. Just put a little bit of ink around the edges. and this is Surf's Up, and then on top of Surf's Up I've put a little bit of Deep Ocean just to make it a little bit deeper colour. And then I made the jumper because I thought Natalia's was awesome, and I thought I'm gonna have to have a go at that. I really am gonna have to have a go at that. So I did this morning, and this card is quite a darkish blue, so all I've done is gone over with the white falling snow with a brush, and just brushed it over with white just to give it a little bit of a different look. And then I've cut the ribbon around the neck and the bottom in a different colour just to make it stand out. And I think Natalia's said best dad on it, and I thought that was really cool, so I might do the same. And it also, there's a Father's Day card in June, so I'm really quite pleased with that. I ummed and ahed, and I only finished it at about 5 to 1, so that's why there's no sentiment. But I hope you will agree that looking at those, I mean, how many have I got here? How many have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 cards that you could make for the men in your life. Quite simply, as easy as that. Now, I don't think I've ever done cards that have been quite that quick, and quite so many all in one go, but I think all of those would be suitable for a man, and I hope you agree, because we all struggle with cards for males. I just thought it would be nice to do as many as I could, just to give you some ideas. So if you enjoyed this, and I hope you did, please consider, if you haven't already, subscribing to our YouTube channel, because our YouTube channel is all about this. So, you know, the inspiration is there for you if you want to go and have a look. So have a fabulous week. Take care of yourselves. I hope everybody that's struggling feels better very soon, and able to get back to your crafting. So thanks for joining me, everybody. I'll see you soon. Take care now. Bye.